because this is exciting. This is a rematch of, crikey, last year. It was like the Summer Showdown, I think. So we have two teams that look...
You're Australian starting to show.
I mean, look, these two teams looked really good in the main melee. This was kind of one of the fantasy matchups we never really got when they were looking at their best. Now the Outlaws are looking a little bit haggard. I mean, they're starting to stumble around, trying to find out what kind of comps they want to go for, Matt. I think, it kind of sucks. We have to sit here and be like, thou must play double shield or thou shalt be in purgatory. But the Outlaws, I think the silver lining is that they can adapt, or you expect them to adapt quickly here, right?
But maybe we aren't exactly there yet. So it seems like the Winston obviously doesn't work great against some of the double shield stuff, especially with like Brig and Echo. But maybe there's some type of like ball kind of compositions you can make work. Zen, one of the stronger heroes against Wrecking Ball, is out. Sombra against Wrecking Ball is out.
Yeah.
So maybe there's some type of variations with the ball you can make work. But at least
Mag,
right now,
Mag still gets pooped on trying to play Wrecking Ball though against the Uprising. So you kind of get a proof of concept.
I mean, they weren't organized at all. I mean, they could have played. They could have had another player out there, and they probably wouldn't have been able to put it together with the way they were looking. So I don't think you can kind of use the Justice as the barometer of like where the meta is at. I think you're going to have to look at some of these other teams where. Maybe if you're the Outlaws, you play Dreamer again. We see how he plays. We take a look at the Mayhem starting lineup. This is no surprise. This is the lineup they've run every game. Honestly, this is the one I probably expect them to run all the games throughout the season. I think this is their strongest look as 6.
Now, of course, the Florida Mayhem come off the back of a pretty fun trip to Hawaii, but ultimately it was unsuccessful. And that loss against the Dragons, that sort of 0-3, that definitely hurts, to get as far as they did and then to sort of struggle like they looked in that series. This is such a, I don't know, I won't say a volatile team, but it's a team with extremely high highs and rather low lows. Matt, I'm really excited, I think, in this game to highlight our flex support matchup. We talked a bunch about main support in the previous series here, but, on one side you've got Gangnam Jin, who's he operates at extremely high efficiency. And on the other side of things, you have the Houston Outlaws. And of course, in their flex support role, they bring Crimzo, who was a middling performer often for the Dallas Fuel. But after switching to this team, he's looked incredibly good. I mean, the head-to-head between these two is pretty awesome. Crimzo actually, I think, is top for hero damage done on Ana. But Gangnam Jin is top on healing done, enemies slept, body grenade killed, and lowest deaths at only 4. So
everything else.
Yes, everything else. That's what I'm saying. These two occupy these top spots as far as Ana play goes, and maybe we get to see a bit more of BAP. Crimzo looked pretty good in that regard as well. You saw him against the Dallas Fuel that first time around. So again, great matchup, one we didn't get to see yet, and it's nice to sort of, get to this point in the weekend, finish things off with an absolute banger.
Even when Crimzo was on the Dallas Fuel and they were not playing good at all, he still had a lot of bright moments and bright spots. And I think, one of the, if the Dallas Fuel doesn't kind of redo the entire roster in the fashion they do, they very well may have kept Crimzo. I think he was that good of a player. Probably would have been one of the only ones, obviously with Doha, that they would have considered keeping. As Busan will be the map number 1. So we get a really good matchup across the board. Everybody in the lobby matches up great with each other. I'm interested what they do with Dreamer here yet again. So Junggu is really he was the only main tank on the roster for all of the melee. Now they signed Dreamer right before, and he's gotten a lot of playtime. They haven't just signed him and kept him on the bench and talk about including him eventually. He's been signed and he's playing straight away.
And of course, what kind of pre-game for the Outlaws would be complete? We're not talking about Dante, right? Because 2 of his best heroes get out of rotation. Yeah, Tracer and Sombra. Well, thank God you've got a player that can kind of do everything. Dante just turns up on the Echo and looks absolutely dominant. We're probably going to see that from him again today. This is the kind of guy, if we had a pick and ban system, you just would forget about. You cannot prevent this guy from bringing a strong hero into any meta. And that's what makes the Outlaws resilient, in theory. The issues have been definitely more about the adjustments to the tanks and how they play double shield, Matt. It looks like they're intending to go that way. Whereas the Mayhem, they might fancy to play a little bit more of that sort of rush down style with the Moira in tow.
Yeah, it looks like they'll be coming out with the rush with the Reaper and the Echo. We've seen a lot of teams try this. The Outlaws play double shield with a Reaper in the mix. So this is interesting, with the Reaper in a Lucio. So This actually makes it way harder even for OG to get in and dive. Doesn't want to go straight into the Reaper.
The Outlaws had to back away here. The Mayhem maybe a little bit quicker than they expected, and they've already lost, well, an Immortality field, but more crucially, Piggy. Yaki looks like he's really confident to push forward and throw stickies in.
Well, there's no McCree on the other side. There's no Ash. There's no 76. Nobody who can really pluck him out of the sky outside of the other Echo. This will be a coalescence right into Crimso's Amp Matrix. You get nothing with that. It's just getting chased down as Florida. First two fights go way in their favor.
Can I ask a question, Matt? Why is there a world where Brigitte makes more sense for the Outlaws here? If they're going to play a comp that's a little bit more close together?
Then which? Then
Lucio.
The Lucio?
So Brig Bap here, yeah.
But then why with the Reaper? Like, what do you have the Reaper in the mix for? You know, you can't speed the Reaper in, and he's just sat there. Like, then the Florida Mayhem never have to engage.
And that's too easy, I guess, for Gargoyle to shut the Reaper down because he just keeps an eye on him. You can't take him by surprise. Either way, seems like the Outlaws are really struggling. The Mayhem keeps taking the fight to them just as they're trying to set up, despite the fact the Outlaws have the speed of Lucio. It's not getting him into the position that they want to be in. Here's a Coalescence. The Outlaws just get stuffed into that corner, and BQB gets the Death Blossom.
Yes, this has not worked so far. No. Well, you have a when the speed comes through for the Florida Mayhem. They get the biggest thing is just getting the Reaper past these shields. Once the Reaper is past these shields, it is tough for the Outlaws to adjust. Supercharger here. If you're the Mayhem, you can just kite this though. You don't exactly have to push into it, but they're gonna have the sound barrier. Be happy with the Death Blossom. Doesn't get anything.
No, I mean, the timing wasn't great. Those came out at exactly the same time. The Outlaws do get a sound barrier a little bit later, but the Mayhem just take the foot off the gas for a moment and then push back in with a Coalescence. OG maybe didn't get the message. He was a little bit further forward, but they still get rid of Juby with the self-destruct. So that leaves that pretty even Stevens, and that key mobility, that that ability to get happy into the backline where he needs to be is off the table right now. So he stands in the front line, looking a little bit awkward. 99% here coming right up, and the Outlaws just have to send their Diva to the point to touch. Piggy making that switch, has the self-destruct if needed. But this is a very dead Baptiste if Crimso's not careful.
Yeah, and let Piggy take the point. I mean, he gets a self-destruct kill on the way out, but you push on forward, kill everybody else, you go back and deal with Steva, you win this first point if you're the Florida Mayhem. But the issue is not able to get back and pick up some of these kills. It's a little bit harder. You see Dreamer up on the high ground putting down some good damage with the Orisa. The Outlaws control the point. It'll be the Mayhem. Looked like they were going to actually set up a little bit, but BQB was in deep. They have to use a Coalescence to save him.
Yeah, Slime's back though, so they might be able to get BQB, well, they were hoping to get BQB in a position where it could actually be effective, but instead he just kept shooting into that defense matrix. Dante duplicates a Diva. There's going to be a duplicated Reaper here. Dante arguably has the better of it, being able to shut down that duplication and have an impact of his own. And the Mayhem are very split. They're going to be forced back here. 3 self-destruct as Dante gets away with his life.
So now with Houston in control at the point, you kind of look at what they have to work with. Just Death Blossom. You probably have Death Blossom plus Beat here for the Florida Mayhem. For Florida, it's just figuring out how you get a fight in a choke or in a close area with a DMAC and being able to actually do something with this Death Blossom.
Again, keep an eye for the defense matrix. That's going to be just put over BQB like a cone of silence if he gets close enough. That's what Piggy is on high alert for. Look how quickly Dreamer's barrier goes down, and look at how the Mayhem try and take advantage. Sound barrier Coalescence get overlaid here. In fact, a lot of ultimates just get used, but that's the chaotic nature of the Mayhem, and they can see victory a mile off.
And that's why you play the Winston Diva with this Reaper type of rush comp. When you're playing the Reaper rush, to play it with Orisa Sigma at the start, you know, all those heroes like are just kind of like counterintuitive to each other, right? Like Orisa Sigma want to play more stationary. You have a Lucio Reaper in the mix who want to get aggressive and push players down.
I just don't understand how Happy's supposed to get into the backline safely when his tanks play statically. It's a tough job. Like, you're asking for a lot from Happy. I mean, you can sort of teleport in, but it's too much of a sound cue.
And if you're trying to run them down, you know, what happens when you get the Orisa and the Sigma, like, into the mix, right? Like, those are not the tanks you want to just have in, like, close quarter type of combat. So, a little bit of an odd play from the Outlaws early on. We'll see how they adjust. At least making a ton of changes here in the spawn. Don't expect to see Junkrat. Looks like we'll see the Wrecking Ball type of composition here for the Outlaws, as this is what we saw a lot when they had Dreamer in the other day.
Following the Outlaws' sort of upset loss, I guess you could say, yesterday, Harsha tweeted saying, we kind of prepared incorrectly, or I don't feel like we prepared the right way. So it's an admission the Outlaws didn't feel like they had the right sort of take on the meta, and it looks like they're still settling, trying to find what works, not only best in general, but best for them. Happy now is going to be going over towards that Ash, and Dreamer's on the ball, which, I mean, he's known to play a ton of Wrecking Ball.
And it'll be much harder to run this composition down with the ball and the D.Va. Echo Mercy, Ash can control the high ground. This won't be one that it's kind of easy to run players down and get that a lot of effectiveness out of the Reaper.
Yeah, trying to pin these frontliners under your thumb is very difficult. Dreamer can just skeet himself away. Yaki, those found a vulnerability. It's Happy. Low health, focusing VPs off that kill. Crimzo sends a warning shot across the map, but he's not really where he needs to be either. He gets forced away, but a grenade is deployed. OG does get slapped, but Gargoyle's still there to follow up. And now they've returned to the point, but Piggy and Dante have been doing decent work in their absence. No one's capped yet, but the numbers favor the Mayhem.
And Dante actually takes out Gangnam Jin when he's using the Coalescence, so huge pick off there. Yaki not able to finish off Juby. As a minefield comes in from Dreamer, you should be able to turn this if you're the Outlaws.
Nah, the Reaper's there though. See, that's the problem. Dreamer can escape, but when he actually wants to fight, he has to run into a Reaper mat.
But they weren't even really close at that point. Like, you secure the point. Dante's going to use a duplicate here. Trying to keep this going. And yeah, Happy's coming back. I was going to say, like, the Outlaws should have the advantage.
Well, OG gets his shield. OG's shield gets taken down by a free self-destruct, right? So you can't really... Another one? Oh my god. Dante, pretty ridiculous stuff there with a duplicated D.Va. What do you think makes them think they can run in like that again and sort of get the flip, man?
For the Mayhem, you're saying?
No, the Outlaws. What makes you think they refight that?
Oh, well, I mean, they had like a small player advantage, like coming back through the choke. And even with those 2 kills, you still had the Ash up on range to just block players coming through the choke. You didn't really have an opportunity for the Mayhem to get everybody above through there safely. So, yeah, it makes total sense that they fight it and they're flipping the point.
So the Mayhem get through safely this time around. Yaki, he's looking for Dante here, but Dante got nano boosted, so yeah, forget about that. Now instead it's about shutting down the impact of the Echo instead of just destroying her outright. Yaki, bit of defense matrix used there. He knows he gets de-mech by that. He didn't have boosters, but he has a self-destruct of his own, gets the mech back. And we're back at reset essentially here. Dante finally taken down, and over the edge, I think the Outlaws know they just need to end this fight. The Mayhem are back in control.
Yeah, what the Mayhem are trying to do is just rush to the point, or when they have the sound barrier, just run down the Ash. Or what they can do is, when the fight happens on the point, this will be a pretty aggressive push with BQB's Death Blossom, just trying to get some players who are lurking around, not going all the way back to the spawn. But they play in that kind of like little, alcove on the point. As we see TP up to the high ground here for BQB, interesting spot. They play in a little nook on the point, and they get so much healing out of the Moira there that they're able to sustain, and they just try and bait Dreamer in.
Now you think he drops down on Crimzo or Happy here. Still
Crimzo's been playing
1v3.
Off on his own a lot, so...
He spread as well. He actually has gone to the left there. Juby. Okay, the timing with the self-destruct there as well. So the Outlaws are too busy running for their lives to notice the BQBs just jumped on in there and snatched them up. Without Happy or Juby, there's nothing happening here for the Outlaws.
So split though now, the Outlaws. They have Dante is all the way in the Florida Mayhem spawn. He will fall. You have Dreamer over by the Mega Health Pack. Now players coming through the choke. And when they realize Dreamer's behind them, they may just decide, it's the same type of thing as they did on Mecha Base. Give up the point, fight these players in the front, and then just go back, deal with the ball.
But you can send Bob to the point here if you're happy. Just like that. And he can stay in this position for now. So he gets to use the safer vantage point for the time being. Dreamer rolls up on the point, takes a decent amount of damage, but he'll back away. Now they may have a ready to fight, though. That's the sound barrier. They give up the point in order to do so, but they guarantee the kill on Crimzo. Everybody sticks together in this death ball. That duplicate is pretty annoying. Dante copies Reaper, so he even gets a little bit of life steal as he fights. But Happy's the one that goes down. Death Blossom would have been an issue if not for the defense matrix and the good disengage from Florida now. Dante will be able to duplicate in a moment, and Happy has to come back on the Soldier 76. This could be tough for the Outlaws. Self-destructs go over the top and they catch Piggy as he was out of his mech, but Piggy gets one better. He finds both supports with one self-destruct. That's huge, but the Outlaws are still understaffed. Dante's able to get rid of OG there, and Yaki is ground ball for the time being. Can't even get the finish on Crimzo. Houston snatched things up, and that self-destruct from Piggy was absolutely massive.
BQB takes out Happy there at the end. It's not going to be for anything. That'll be res right back up. Yaki on the McCree here.
All right. Well, that was always going to happen. OG had to get overtime going. Gargoyle back on the DV here. Slime getting picked up. It looks like the Outlaws might have snuck away with this one. They looked pretty shaky after the first half of the round. But again, they had more ultimates come into that last fight. The Bob really helps them set up that fight. Gargoyle demeched and dealt with by Helix Rocket. BQB heroics. No, defense matrix kind of silence.
No,
unless
yeah, this is what I mean by no. I mean they have Yaki up on the high ground on the McCree, and he's been able to get behind them on the high ground, then drop down. And the Death Blossom was in such a position to do so much damage.
I mean, look at him. Yaki's still got a round to play. He was clapping his hands together with glee, but he knew that he saved things for the Florida Mayhem.
You could see that forming from the positions that everybody was taking. BQB actually makes it to a position with Wraith form where he makes it over by that Mega Health Pack, and you had Slime there as well. They're just kind of kiting, touching the point between the two, waiting for OG to come back, and then Yaki just rotates all the way around, basically comes from the Outlaw side, takes the high ground on the McCree, able to pump in some damage. The Death Blossom's big. So that is a tough way to lose that first one if you're the Outlaws. Really battled back in that second point.
Yeah, frustrating stuff. The Mayhem look pretty comfortable playing this hair-raising fast lane kind of style. And Yaki, not normally the McCree player on this team, by the way. It's BQB that often plays the hit scan. Yaki was on the Tracer in the past, but BQB causes such a clamor, Matt, on the point with the Death Blossom. It has to be defense matrix. Well, guess what? McCree loves it when the Divas turn away. Nicely done by the Florida Mayhem. That's individual mechanics that get them across the line. Map 2 is just around the corner as the Outlaws look to strike back.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.
And I'm sure, I mean, more than a couple people probably wonder, you know, what's going on with Chengdu at the moment. You know, Dreamer comes in here and is playing at main tank, and well, this guy's got a pretty long list of accolades, and in fairness, this hero pool tends to suit him quite well. You can see here, he was a main melee quarterfinalist with the Los Angeles Valiant. Yes, he did tease out some very evocative words from me with his Earth Shatter in the past. To be fair, a lot of players just get the unbelievable. That's like kind of like the vanilla. It's kind of base level, but I start to get kind of freaky when you get words like ungodly and wrong. Dreamer definitely impressed me personally at multiple points last year, and Matt, I think you can agree, probably a bright spot on that Valiant roster who waxed and waned across the course of that season.
Yeah, without a doubt. We do have a sub here for the Outlaws, so we'll see Jake come in. For GB, we do not see Jungkook come in for the Outlaws, so Dreamer will stay in. No substitutions, you know, as usual for the Florida Mayhem. What this tells me is that they want to definitely play the BAP plus the break, maybe even on a break here as we go into Eichenwald. I don't think we see Jake play Mercy again. You know, we saw it on Junkertown yesterday. It's not great. I don't think you can even really kind of blame the guy. Like, he's working on a support. Like, he's obviously,
well, he has to pocket an Echo, so it's way more dangerous to do it with a fire.
Right. Yeah, and it's there's a lot that kind of goes into playing Mercy in those types of scenarios, and you know, he really just hasn't had like the real game time way to do it. Here's your map leaderboard presented by Xfinity for Eichenwald all time. The Florida Mayhem sitting on the wrong side of things.
Yeah, much like the Outlaws been on the wrong side of the kill feed so far, the Mayhem on the receiving end of a drubbing from the Hangzhou Spark, who I don't want to spoil the results of APAC, but you should probably check in with your Hangzhou Spark, because they're just doing some wild things over there.
Games. The results look fake when you'll see them, but just go watch the games.
Absolutely. But if you're here right now, you may as well stick around, because the Outlaws are a team with very much heightened expectations this year after a very strong start in the May Melee. They did capitulate later on, but now they have a chance here to make things look better, make amends, and we may yet see Jake come out here on the Mercy, especially if Dante wants a little bit of extra backup just to make sure we can push that Echo play a little further.
Yeah, we'll see. If they're going to play, there's still some time to make changes. I mean, you're not going to play Rita Ball, at least you would think not. Florida, they come out with the McCree on the defense. So McCree with Echo. Echo seems to be the staple all the time. And they'll actually play the Sigma with the BAP and the Brig. So this is kind of the comp that I thought you would see, you know, Jake come in and play with the Brig and the BAP, but maybe don't play it on offense. They'll play the Mercy pocket for the Echo, at least off the start. Looked like there actually he was just pocketing Happy trying to get a jump shot. Yeah.
But now he will return to keeping Dante nice and damage boosted. Let's see how the Outlaws get through this choke here. A decent amount of poke damage coming from this Mayhem composition. They've got Yaki and DQB to pressure, and obviously Gangnam Jr. will continue to lay down suppressive fire. DQB though knows once the Outlaws start to move up a little bit more, that's where he can really get rolling. Position like that from Dante is what he wants to punish with the McCree.
And now without that damage from the Echo, you kind of have to go back a little bit as Happy almost gets caught out there. Just controlling the choke here for the Florida Mayhem. That's what it's all about.
Happy definitely pressured there. BQB needs to respect the range of Hangzhou here. Happy wants to try and make use of the Ant Matrix, but no one's really giving him any sort of target. Good disengage from the Mayhem, despite not having any Lucio for speed, but Slime gets caught out there. Looks like OG was probably caught by a hold from Dreamer, if I'm not mistaken. They keep him in place. And the Mayhem, they had an Ant Matrix, but no one's really there to make use of it, Matt.
Well, they did make some use of it. It splits off OG, Gargoyle, and Slime, and they're able to get a pick on the two of those players, coming back towards the rest of the team. So you are able to get something with the Ant Matrix. You're able to put in enough damage, scare them that they're not able to make it back across the choke safely. So that does allow you to take that first point, as Jake will have Valkyrie for the next fight.
We saw earlier on Dante go down because Jake still can't just, you know, perma-pocket that Echo. He definitely needs to return and help with the healing. Dante again going solo, so no Mercy presence here. It's a duplicate play. He's going to try and get an instant pick off here. Yaki's in trouble. Focusing beam finds a target, Jake. As you see, he actually returns to join Dante, and it's a duplicated Sigma. He's already got 71% of his ult charge. This could be a pretty nasty ending to things here. He wants to stay alive. Gravitic Flux, very defensive, but Happy finds 3. That is huge. Looks like some of the setup that came from his Orisa, but really just great positioning on the Dragon Strike.
Look at much better now here for the Outlaws. Much cleaner as you get Happy on the Hangzhou, able to pick up some kills. So you have to use a lot of ultimates to get the cart moving, that position of the map. But you have Supercharger coming up here next. Supercharger, one of the more powerful ultimates in the game overall. So Supercharger here, trying to deter them from coming through the door. And I mean, you see the extra damage boost from the Supercharger. You're able to deal with the Sigma and the Batiste. So Houston may just be able to roll this cart right in and take that second checkpoint.
I mean, Happy's really taking things into his own hands on this Hangzhou map. He's part of the reason why they can unseat the Florida Mayhem as they approach that underpass. And then he's just punishing there, finding a huge pick-off. Another one there, and he gets rid of Yaki. These are headshots, mind you. Connecting really nicely, and almost another Dragon Strike available for Happy. He's generating these almost too fast. This could be nasty.
You have to play this close too if you're Florida. It's a really tough position to be in. The Dragon Strike will come through.
Great angle.
Just decent damage. The Immortality Field saves at least Gangnam Jin there.
Yeah, it looks like the field just pretty untouched by that Dragon Strike. Still, Happy's going to cause some problems now for the Mayhem. Yaki needs to make the play, and it's going to be the Sigma. He's his weapon of choice. Gravitic Flux, though, could make his life a little bit hard. He's not actually caught inside of it, but too many of his teammates are. Happy again, steamrolling the Florida Mayhem down, and the Outlaws still have over 4 minutes, Matt.
This looks to be one of the better times we'll see as Gargoyle gets so low. Yaki comes out on the McCree. Again, this is just kind of late game heroics try here from Yaki, but the Ant Matrix, are you even going to be able to push into this? Is Dante up on the high ground as Sigma? This is brutal for the Florida Mayhem.
I mean, Gravitic Flux is just unbelievably strong, especially against these shield, these tank-heavy compositions. You get an extra barrier, an extra accretion, everything you could want. The Mayhem finally come up with the goods, though. It's a Dragon Strike, dueling dragons, in fact, but Happy's in trouble. See, BGB gets right up close. Or rather, this McCree of Yaki finishes the job.
Well, what do you play? Is Yaki going to stay on McCree? I mean, we usually see BQB always is the player who plays the hit scan for this team. We saw Yaki's McCree at the end of Busan able to pick up some kills to secure the victory, but this will have Dante switch off of Echo, so this will allow them to play Jake on Breakdo. So you're going to play Genji here for Dante. Really just challenge the McCree of Yaki.
Tough job, though. Custer said, don't play Genji on the desk. Looks like the Outlaws want to go for it, but without Jake here, this is a non-starter. No biscuits for Dante means no win.
Yeah, I mean, Custer switched his prediction and then asked for no Genji. They lose the first map, and then they play Genji in the second map. I mean,
yeah, he's out there making demands of the Houston Outlaws, man.
Stay away from that guy. I mean, who knows? You know, people get struck.
That guy's kind of sus, man.
Yeah. I mean, Dragon again here for the Mayhem. You'll have this as split players off. You can build up an Ant Matrix. Probably like if Supercharger or Ant Matrix hit drop in the Outlaws, you can use a Dragon to just get players, you know, out of the line of sight.
Dante will deflect it too. Unlucky.
No.
No, try to bold prediction, didn't work out. So, okay, so not too much there. The Outlaws are able to split and avoid that. Okay, they've got a Brigger hiding in the wings here. There could be a play. The Flash Note was deflected back in Iyaki, but he still has the big body of Orisa in front of him. Slime's also there. So really, the Mayhem aren't punished for trying to make that play. Gravitic Flux, couple players caught in there, and Happy's going to follow up on that nice capitalization. Yaki tries to go for a reactive Deadeye, and they do get the Genji at the very least, but this Dragon Strike is going to force positioning now. Look where OG is, right back on that right-hand side. He actually able to get rid of Happy despite being forced out of where he needed to be to hold on the point, and Jake has Rally. Oh, sorry, it's Slime with Rally pushing up.
Yeah, and they're able to actually, I was going to say they have Rally plus Supercharger, and you're able to hold on to Supercharger. That's massive here. For the Florida Mayhem. This was like almost like 5 minutes on the clock. Now at 1:12, things get scary for the Outlaws. You don't have a nano to combo with this blade. You don't have it yet either, but should be able to get it before the end of the round.
Crimzo close to another Amp Matrix. As is Gangnam Jin. A lot of damage boost available in general for the Florida Mayhem here, and there's 51 seconds left. Dante pushes up, the window's there, but he's got the deflect. It doesn't really do much to the shield of OG, so no punish there. And it's going to be the Immortality Field gone down now, so the Outlaws trying to extricate themselves from this rather sticky situation. But the Mayhem push up, they're taking ground, they're being safe about it too, and this forces an Amp Matrix from Crimzo. Oh, that doesn't work.
Well, I mean, 30 seconds left. You're getting pushed out. This could be a scenario where you may not even get like another really good fight.
Oh, so that's clutch. That's clutch.
Yaki gets back in right into the Immortality Field. You have a Gravitic Flux plus the Dragon here to close things out.
We saw like Gangnam Jin, nice little Immortality Field to keep Yaki alive in a place where he really shouldn't be. Last push for the Outlaws. A Dragon Blade. The Dragon Strike comes out first, and which Shimada brother will prevail? Here it is, Dante trying to go in. Looks like he was whip shot pretty early on, and that's what happens to Genji right now. Immortality Field for Crimzo is down. Gangnam Jin's lost his as well, and Dante's Blade doesn't do much except cause a bit of a stir. But Yaki's down. Good Gravitic Flux there, though, from Piggy. That was quite crucial. And now the Outlaws can roll straight forward in overtime. They have a chance to finish the map.
Will you be able to get another touch here if you're the Florida Mayhem? Looks like Yaki's switching over to Reaper. He might get close. No. Oh, actually gets a teleport right onto it. So you will get a touch here for the Florida Mayhem.
OG, good adaptive shield as well. That'll keep him alive a little bit longer. Immortality Field got picked up very quickly by Piggy. Very astute from him to get rid of that so early. That means that OG just can't stall for nearly as long as the otherwise would have liked. Dreamer wrapping around the point. Bubba giving over to Yaki, who needs to stay alive, but there's just too much pressure here. Eventually, he's run down, and the Outlaws will get their prize. Hard fought, indeed.
It's still like, okay, so the Outlaws complete the map, but where the Florida Mayhem we're looking at on defense with the amount of time, it was what, like 5 minutes almost on the clock? I mean, it's as good as you can get if you're Florida. I mean, you end up kind of bending at the end and giving the map completion over, but no time on the clock. You have to almost, if you're the Florida Mayhem, look at that as like a little mini win.
Absolutely. Considering how dire things were looking, at least the Outlaws know they get a full map completion here. The Florida Mayhem, definitely not the team that they were when they're on the receiving end of a record time on this particular map. We know that there's just a myriad of different choices they can go for in terms of composition to try and rattle the Outlaws here. Houston, however, Jake's still on the Mercy, and, you know, we mentioned, like, oh, look, Jake didn't have much success. He obviously was switched off the Mercy on Junkertown, couldn't get much done there, but he's not the kind of person to shy away from a challenge. Looking much cleaner on that Mercy. Picked a couple times his Brig here, but he's definitely getting focused down. Here's this Dragon Strike, by the way. There's an Immortality Field there.
Beautiful.
And they can't get into it. That Immortality Field's still standing, by the way, but the Mayhem have other ideas. Odd little passage of play.
Yeah, interesting. You said you played Jake on the Mercy again on defense. I thought for sure that they would end up playing him on Brig on the defensive side of things. But
they might wish they did.
Well, we'll see what they do, the Florida Mayhem actually go with here. So BQB will end up playing the Hangzhou with Echo here. The only difference is you have the Ana in play here.
I mean, you have Winston. You have Winston Ana. They're actually playing completely different tanks here. This is why I said that they may regret not playing the Brigitte. It's just one less contingency to deal with the dive approach. Druid's Happy needs to be that much more canny about his positioning. Oh my god, he's sharp. He is mighty sharp. OG takes a ton of damage there.
Yeah, his aim is phenomenal. OG does take a ton of damage, but you've gotten through this initial choke. So you've given this up if you're the Outlaws. And now if you're Florida, you just have to kind of find an angle of attack. And losing OG there is kind of really ends everything. So back up now. Dante with a double. He'll end up getting a duplicate out of this first fight.
So Dante's going to get a Primal Rage before OG does, man.
Yeah, he might get two with the way Echo works.
Houston looking a lot more comfortable after that first fight. Eventually, OG just has nowhere to go. Gets run down by all of this insane poke damage from the Outlaws. I mean, that's why the Mayhem are trying to close the gap quickly, but this is not the map that lends itself to that. There's a lot of wide open space that, frankly, just has to be traversed by hook or by crook. Nano boost is there for Gangnam Jin, though. That means OG can definitely get involved, and there he goes, straight into the back line. Looks like he immediately was kind of booped out of the way. Here is going to be a D.Va duplication, but OG still wants blood. He still wants to try and get into the back line. Great discipline from him. He goes to half health, even though he had the nano on, and just takes the high ground. This lets the rest of the Mayhem get in, but will his prudence be paid off? It's BQB to die to Happy. Slime's able to bring him back into the fight at the very least, but this is kind of where the Outlaws are happy to fight. OG goes down, Happy's damage boosted, and Dreamer had a supercharger.
He went down instantly, and that was like a primal. Not really a way. I mean, Florida, Yaki and Slime in such a odd position is you're able to get one. They're trying to get a Gravitic Flux onto the supports in the back. Okay, so they do get Slime. They connect with him in midair. That'll stop any type of, scary secondary push that would have came through from the Mayhem. Yaki and Slime really, they're caught very far behind there.
Yeah, this is that Florida Mayhem's reluctance to play double shield here. Sort of running headlong into a lot of poke from two of the best players at their respective roles in the entire league. I really can't. I don't think you'd be able to ask for much more than Happy on hit scan and Dante on the Echo here. Dragon Strike's there for BQB. God knows how they're going to subject the Outlaws to that adequately. No. What?
Self-destruct.
The buy was huge!
Dragon, yeah, I mean, that's a massive one. You may force them into the back here because OG's going to use the nano. Beautiful play here. That's all set up by that biotic grenade.
Yeah, they can't heal up the Outlaws in time. The Dreamer only had, what, 100 HP or so? By the time OG goes jumping in, Gangnam Jin just puts the team on his back with that Ana play. That's what we're saying about Ana's being playmakers. But Happy is 1-2, and OG's got, again, nowhere to go. Dante's going to pick him up with the sticky bombs now. That leaves the supports mid-fight for the Mayhem a little bit vulnerable, and they're reluctant to push up. They have Gargoyle there with a self-destruct. He needs to be able to remech, though, and he can't! Dreamer picks him off as he gets out of the mech. Now the DPS really have to step up. Oh, wait, you can get a free tank. Yaki copies a Sigma, looks for Happy. Kinetic grasp here, but he's going to be pressured down. And the Mayhem, again, they just bite off a little bit more than they can chew there, and they're down to 10 seconds left.
Yeah, and I think the biggest difference has just been how good Dante has been. Primal Rage knocking OG back. It's 5 seconds to go. It's going to be Slime trying to go over the top, trying to get a touch taken out of the air by Crimzo. So beautiful hold there as the Outlaws tie the series up.
How many reminders do we need to be given that double shield is absolutely the way to go right now? It's flexible, it's durable, and it allows you to play these poke compositions that otherwise would be really risky in the face of dive. But I tell you what, the Florida Mayhem, as good as they are, as mechanically proficient as they've shown themselves to be, run up against Dante and Happy on their preferred heroes, and they come off decidedly second best. Nice response from the Outlaws, showing that, hey, that preparation they've made for this hero pool, it's paying off. That's a big result for them. As we head into the break now, the Outlaws can breathe a sigh of relief. They've evened up the series, which means that the second half of this series, it's going to be explosive.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's largest and fastest 5G network. Set your sights on the competition with T-Mobile. And by Xfinity, the preferred internet provider of the Overwatch League.
Righto, how'd you guys go on your May Melee pick'ems? I assume that probably better than you have so far here in the June Joust, but that's right, a new tournament means that we've unlocked a new bracket. We've had over, 2,000 private leaderboards so far. We've been able to take on your mates, and yeah, it's going to be the same thing this month. So go to pick'em.overwatchleague.com to submit your picks for next week's matches. That's open, and you can try and set yourself up for success, bragging rights, and of course, you can play for a chance to win this svelte-looking Widowmaker statue. Let's have a look at this,
A lot
Matt.
of red on my predictions. A lot of red. I mean,
Hey,
this week's crazy.
and Custer, though, makes that switch, right? You know, the heel turn. Yeah, Wall not looking so bad now. The Outlaws looking more comfortable. The Genji was only a flash in the pan for them, fortunately. Speaking of DPS, though, this is why I was sort of saying about what we're being treated to in this particular series. Yaki and BQB both sit in the top 10, and so does Happy at number 6. I would posit that Dante doesn't sit very far outside of that as well. So that's definitely our focus here. I sort of highlighted the Crimzo versus Gangnam matchup, but I mean, it doesn't matter what role you play, there's a really fascinating head-to-head to watch in this series. Matt, Jake stays in as we head towards Dorado, so no substitutions for either team.
That's what I was going to mention. So we saw Jake actually play a lot of Mercy there on Eichenwald. We saw it the other day on Junkertown and getting picked off a lot, but so was Crimzo. I think maybe the Outlaws were just kind of off their game, a little bit out of it. Knowing like what's at stake, right, with a loss already, going 0-2 here in the June Joust, it would be really difficult to end up with one of the higher seeds into knockouts or even just make knockouts period. So they know how important this match is. When we saw Juby in, we saw him play a lot of the Lucio in map number 1, and they were not able to. They played the double shield Lucio. It didn't really look that great. Maybe Jake goes in, play some Mercy, play some Brig, kind of solidify that double shield, also give them the flexibility to play Mercy and just kind of pocket the Echo up in the sky. So see what the Outlaws decide to do on offense. Still some time. Florida, they'll play the Winston Diva again here on D. So now the double shield looked good in map number 1 when they were running it. They also played a pretty effective, with the Winston Diva. The Rush was really like their best look probably. With the Reaper in the mix, the Reaper
back
Lucio
in Busan, yeah.
Yeah, back in Busan.
Not really an option here, though, you feel?
Yeah, I was going to say, like, what do you can't play that on a map like Dorado or Escort games.
Why do you reckon that is?
What are you rushing down here? Like, there's just so much, like, high
bad
ground
guys!
You could... It's just not like, where there's the static objective where both teams are coming from, just kind of a map that's symmetrical. You can play a little bit more aggressive, a little bit more rush. Like in a map like this, which is way more dynamic, you can't play a type of composition like that.
You got to bow a little bit to the map architecture here, which is kind of what Happy's doing, because he knows that the Mayhem are going to use the vantage points that defenders kind of get given on this first point to get really good sight lines. And see that Dante goes down. They go aggressive on Jake, who does well to stay alive here. And all the Outlaws just had to peel back, and they get a res, and they get rid of Yaki. So very good result here. And the Mayhem, again, still shaky with this Winston Diva setup.
Yeah, and they just go a little bit too deep. Like, maybe just getting that pick is enough, right? And then contesting the car, they try and push forward. I believe what they try and do is take out Piggy. Piggy was really low at that time. With the focusing beam and some help from OG. That'll allow the payload, though, to almost get through this choke.
I don't know what OG's looking for there, as he sort of drops down to the cart, but they get rid of Happy. See, OG just ignores both Jake and Dante. Just trying to get in the choke and stop that cart from moving anymore. Those sticky bombs are nasty. Good connection from Yaki there. Dreamer has the Primal Rage, and I would say slightly less than ideal spot, but it now enables them to scoop up OG, who goes low and gets beamed down.
He gets slept, so you'll have to wait for him to get back up, which he does. And now you have that extra tank to push through the choke. Yaki getting close to a duplicate here. It'll be self-destruct from Gargoyle. Ends up with nothing. Just buy some time, though. So Nano Boost is actually used here on Yaki as well, so you don't have that anymore.
More time buys, Matt. Bob is now going to be used to push to the point, and OG's able to return, and then he gets rid of Crimzo really quickly. So that Diva self-destruct to buy time for the re-emergence of the Winston was pretty big. Jake just glocked Gangnam Jim. He just gatted the man in the street. Huge pick-off. Slime has to resurrect the Yana here, and that's a window where there's not a lot of healing available for the Mayhem, but the Outlaws aren't able to capitalize, Matt.
No, because look at all the destruction that's happening back here with the Echo, the Winston, and the Diva just dominating the choke. And it really just started out with a fast dive onto Crimzo. He was not able to stay alive. Didn't have Jake anywhere near him or any of the tanks to peel. They were trying to do their own damage in the backline, but they pretty much just gave Crimzo up for free, which ends up hurting them in the long run.
Matt Happy needs to find something big here. He's been, uncharacteristically quiet, so finding that kill on BQB is huge. The damage boost there pays off from Jake. Dante going from strength to strength now, heads into the back line now with the damage boost. Jake's done a very good job of spreading his influence across both DPS here, and that pick really sets them up.
That pick is great, and then there's also a fantastic play by Crimzo. OG ends up getting nanoed and pops Primal and gets right in Happy's face, and he just turns around and hits a sleep dart straight away.
Yaki?
Floridas doesn't want to give this up.
Yaki's alive! How'd he stay alive for so long? Oh, I can't believe it. They actually get rid of Dante there as well. OG takes his time getting back to the card. I thought Yaki was definitely dead there, but no one could get rid of Slime or Gangnam Jin.
The Primal just knocks Gargoyle a little bit off the cart, and I think maybe Slime and Valkyrie was a little bit high, so couldn't contest, and the cart goes over the line. As that could have got scary for the Outlaws. You have both supports and your D.Va there. Pretty tanky combination. You could have extended that a little bit longer. So BQB does not want to match Happy in this Widow mirror. We know what BQB can do on the Widowmaker, but I know Happy was one of the better ones in the APAC region, just in the league last year.
Yes.
So.
Yeah, it was on Guangzhou. I think he just really turned up in a big way and got heads turning. His McCree also was insane. I think he actually went on record on saying he was one of the best McCrees in the world, and you can see why he's so known for his hit scan prowess. I mean, you have stones as big as boulders to go for that Resurrect Slime. Happy can't find him. Must be frustrating for a Widow to sort of miss a pretty stationary target, but we digress, move on. Dante close to a nano boost. That's so big for Dreamer.
They just have to play so cautious, knowing that Happy can just come on the flank. But right here, they decide to just push straight on through it, ignore that Widowmaker. They're going to push the Outlaws back to the spawn. Still not dealing with Happy up on the high ground. Now he actually goes and chases him down.
I mean, they get rid of him eventually. Happy definitely did a lot of work in that fight, but it was him not really having great sight lines to make his impact felt. That was crucial there.
Well, how nice is that? Usually one of the main things that really hurts you when you're trying to take out a Widowmaker is you end up using like movement speed, with like a D.Va going up to the high ground, and the Widow just grapples away and you have nothing to do. Yaki with the duplicate goes up to the high ground. Happy tries to get away, but you saw the Winston and D.Va with their full mobility able to track him down really quick.
Yeah, also, in Primal Rage, your jumpers are a shorter cooldown than grappling hook, so OG could have dealt with Happy there, and maybe he should have, because Happy just snaps one into Yaki. Good bubble timing for OG. That was close. He's able to keep himself alive, and Happy has an off angle. No one knows he's here, by the way. He'll announce his presence by the ringing out of those shots and misses an opportunity to find big kills, but Dante's doing most of the work anyway. With Gargoyle out of position, Dante is unbothered.
Oh, yeah, and I mean, Dreamer pushing with the Primal Rage will take out two. This will be second checkpoint for the Houston Outlaws. This is probably the worst part of the map, though, for Widowmaker. Like,
sure.
Can you get usage out of here? Because the Widowmaker's really been crucial in getting the payload to where it's at now. Can you find angles? Is right there. It'll be BQB takes out Happy, damage boosted Ashe headshot, and just the range is much better for Ashe here than Widowmaker, and that'll be Happy switching things over to McCree. So doesn't want to try even play the Widow at this stage of the map.
Pretty reasonable. That extra sort of anti-dive in the flash is probably going to help a bit. Dante duplicates D.Va, and Gangnam Jin was dead before Dante even got there. Nothing he could do about that. Dreamer taken down elsewhere by Yaki, so the Echoes are having a pretty big impact in this fight already, but that's the remake kill. Oh, Slime! I think he was going for
Was he going for a res and gets the remake killed there? I mean, that is that is actually a huge remake kill if that's a thing, but the Gargoyle using a self-destruct here as he gets, focusing beam damage, takes out his mech. You need him. You couldn't wait for him to come off the spawn. You need to win a fight now.
It really makes D.Va so much more dangerous when she has her ultimate. Self-destruct, and then as you remech, you just get an extra 250 burst damage around you. Pretty ridiculous stuff. Yaki went for the duplicates. They're going to be knocked out of that one pretty early. That one OG, he's in trouble. Defense matrix is needed there by Gargoyle, and they get the nano boost just in time. Still, Slime goes down to the Deadeye there for Happy. He essentially gets that pretty safely. OG needs to do big things here, but he's only dealing with Piggy right now. He can't get to the back line. He can barely stall.
And they burn him down so fast that OG's not able to get the Primal Rage off.
Let's hear Houston now as they try and push the card over the line.
Nice. Good cap, good cap.
Okay, yo, there's like a difference of like calming and being able to go fast, but like we're missing calls because we're like way too like anxious.
No, I heard that Happy was gone, but I saw a really good opportunity.
No, I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like first point when I had nano and copied, but you don't even need to do that on the...
There you go. So obviously, yeah, Houston feeling the heat of the battle here. Obviously, where they're trying to communicate effectively, but also the desperation in getting the map done is really showing. But despite all of that consternation and turmoil, Matthew, they actually have 30 seconds left on the clock after a completion, and they come alive in that last phase. Happy switches off predictably, as you kind of said, from the Widow, and Dante looks really dangerous on the Echo.
Yeah, and I think that was what we heard is like Crimzo and Dante just kind of talking over just how their comms are, and when to slow things down, the type of speed that they want to play with. It's always like an odd type of thing to explain, or like when you're on a team and you're playing in a scenario like this, you can say something that you don't want to be done like in a fast type of like style or movement, but the way that you say it kind of conveys that. And that's where teams can really get split up, as we'll see this remake. Yeah, so it was during a res, yeah. They're trying to res Gangnam Jin on the top. That's a huge remake kill.
Yeah, like I said, an extra tool in D.Va's arsenal. And maybe it was intended to sort of give her some threat when she gets staggered, but obviously after the self-destruct, she has that available to her. So she's doubly dangerous. She zones, in two different ways during that ultimate sequence. Oh, yeah, okay, Yaki, I think, realizes exactly what was looking for him. BQB is on that Widow now, Matt. You kind of teased it, and he finds Dante with a headshot already.
Yeah, which is, I mean, I'm a little bit surprised he didn't pull it out on defense. Like, BQB is a good Widowmaker. It's not like he can't play it and, take these duels.
Oh,
and,
what?
I mean, you see it right there. Just turns around, gets a headshot right on to Happy. As you have Jake playing the brig here, so no mercy on defense, not going to be able to get those reses.
Just mentally makes it look as effortless as buttering your bread in the morning, half asleep, one eye closed in your gym jams. That's nasty stuff. Now BQB plays pretty aggressively on this right-hand side, but he knows that Gargoyle's intersposed between him and the enemy, so there's always peel available. He can do this. The cart's moving this whole time. The Outlaws just got rocked by BQB, and they're still reeling.
So they gotta heal up OG. He goes back, gets the benefits of that biotic grenade. Streamer working around the flank here. So,
Yaki?
Yaki was trying to put down some damage, but now they realize that everybody behind them has been taken out. So Dreamer actually through the side room ends up going towards BQB. I believe Gangnam Jin's back there, and then Happy gets one pick, and that's kind of the end of things. As a few members for the Florida Mayhem tried to push up, they left everybody else behind them out to dry.
Despite dying first, Happy also has the luxury then of sort of arriving later to the fight, so BQB's not looking for him at that time. Happy gets the drop on BQB. He probably gets a free crack at him, and he finds an instant headshot like that, and is able to really reduce the amount of pressure that the Mayhem can apply. That's frustrating for Florida. They really wanted a checkpoint out of that first fight, and they come up a little empty-handed, so this duplicate definitely wants to be big, as BQB definitely keeping him honest here on this Widow. Another safe position behind the stalls, and it gets Dante. This guy is sharp as attack.
Well, I was going to say, the Infrasight buys them space to get through the choke. You can't just fight this if you're the Houston Outlaws with the walls. As BGB is on fire, man. You can't just fight this when the Infrasight is up. Is not able to get any kind of use of your grab there. This could be bad. As you see Jake makes it out with his life for now. OG doesn't go and chase. So the Florida Mayhem, a lot of time to get this from A to B.
I'd love to know what the critical hit accuracy right now is of BQB, because every time we're on board with him, they are not just headshots, the headshot kills. Oh, well, that's not good. Jake goes down. I mean, the man's got a shield, but BQB's able to find his way around it. The Outlaws have a lot of ultimates to work with here, but you're reluctant to really dig too deep with only 5 players. BQB effortlessly just gets out of the way of Dreamer's scrutiny back to safety.
I mean, he is just dominating on the Widowmaker. I mean,
No one can
like every time we go on with him or see him in the kill feed, it's the dings, it's the headshot. I mean,
Big sling!
This is the Florida Mayhem look like a different team here on offense.
All of a sudden, going to another level are the Mayhem.
I think it's really just the difference of playing the Widowmaker, right? I mean, you're not really doing anything else different. You have the same type of composition. It's just you're playing the Widow instead of trying to force like the Ashe here at range or McCree we saw a few times.
I mean, again, BQB's in a nasty spot. He's right in the background here. No one can really get to him because there's so much standing in between him and the Outlaws. Grab here for Piggy. Now wants to deal with Gargoyle. Didn't get a lot of charge in that fight, which means OG can actually get away with a primal here, but doused with the biotic grenade and lacking teammates. BQB's doing a great job, but there needs to be follow-up from the rest of the team.
I would love to see a replay of what Dante just did there. So Dante and Dreamer go on a bit of a journey towards the supports. So Slime is trying to pocket Gangnam Jin, keeping him alive. Dante copies the Ana, hits the both supports with a biotic grenade. They kill the Ana, and then he sleeps the Mercy, so Dreamer can finish off the Mercy. That was just a sick play.
And much needed there for the Outlaws.
Yeah.
That second checkpoint was looking mighty juicy for the Mayhem. Again, nice grab from Piggy there to cause problems. So the Mayhem right now work with rather little. It's OG probably gets sent forward.
Happy is taking such a weird angle, Mitch. He's to like the right of Dante here, down by the statue, really off on his own. So that's where you saw OG dive in.
Dreamer slept again right now. Could be a problem. I mean, Dante gets rolled in that battle. Yaki had a lot more air support, suffice to say. And still sitting on that duplicate right now. BQB is infrasight, so this is really awkward for the Outlaws now. Happy wants to be aggressive here while no one's really looking at him, but everyone knows where he's going to come from if he were to try and do that, and there it is, BQB gets him. So not only getting rid of Jake, but winning the Widow battle, it is BQB's world right now.
He has handily won the Widow battle. And really, Widow was the thing that got the Outlaws from A to B, and then they had to switch off of it for the end of the map. I almost think if you're the Florida Mayhem in this situation, you're like, yeah, I know Widow's not the best here towards the end. But if you can keep Happy on the Widow and your Widow's been winning that duel, you'll take it here in this type of scenario. And you lose Dante at the start, no res available, obviously, for the Houston Outlaws. You're going to lose a second player. So Florida's just rolling, man.
These 200 HP targets have like half a second to respond to the fact that they're getting focusing beams. They are dead instantly. Again, it's so easy to get poke damage. You hit a couple sticky bombs on an enemy Echo, you just hit that E key straight away. And
Happy to McCree now. So they've given up on this Widowmaker.
Well, BQB probably switches if he has the opportunity to do so as well. The sidelines probably aren't exactly all that plentiful. OG playing from just below that little lip. Has a primal rage, but would rather peel first. We love this focus towards his backline, but that's an Anubis. Oh, the sleep on Dreamer, but he got woken up, and now he has a primal rage, but BQB doesn't seem to care. He's found 2 crucial kills. Crimso's gone down. The primal range comes up for Dreamer right now, but BQB intends to send him back to sleep. Primal and no follow-up. It looks a bit foolish right now as BQB's thinking about his next victim. Up to the high ground he goes. He sees Piggy. Poison Mine fired off, and Yaki's going to wrap around here. Is there a grab in the works? Yes, the answer is. Happy caught inside of it, and that's a problem now. The Outlaws get split up, and BQB finds Jake. Another one here. The headshots just keep rolling in for BQB. Self-destruct. Dante puts his bubble down just in time. The duplicate animation works in his favor, but he's going to be burnt down almost instantly. Jake can't really get away with the Lucio there. Buys a little bit of time, but it's not really going to be enough, and this is the Florida Mayhem. They fall under a minute there, crucially, but they're looking like they're on good time to end this map as well. Primal Rage used for Piggy this time, and it's arguably just to buy that time. Dreamer was back in play. Tries to dive to the high ground, but gets very little for his trouble. Keep an eye on BQB's positioning, because he is still going to be a threat in a later fight, but Happy uses a Deadeye just to get rid of an enemy Widowmaker. Matt, that seems kind of risky, but worthwhile here to relieve some pressure.
And the biggest thing that Happy actually pushes on forward, and he tries to break up that res, and he gets punished for it. The biggest thing is Piggy just been spinning around the card on the Wrecking Ball. That's what's kept the Outlaws in this.
Yeah, and it buys time. Now they're going to be ahead on time bank no matter what happens. Focusing beam on a Lucio. He's above half health, so the passive healing is going to be enough. Both of these teams go to the wire, but it's going to be the Outlaws with 14 paltry seconds ahead.
Well, they give the nano boost to Piggy as he's Wrecking Ball spinning around the payload, and they're just not able to deal with it. I think I saw like Yaki above, not able to get the kill. They're trying to like line up a sleep or a biotic grenade, but then you have other players coming back off the spawn. They had to back out. Where things start to fall apart for the Outlaws is when Happy tries to push up to break up that res with a flashbang. It's a biotic grenade that connects, and then they do get the flash. It's just not worth. I mean, he gives up his own life. Everybody starts to come back for Florida. You end up losing it there. Florida on offense, you definitely play the Widow again. I mean, if you can keep doing these duels, you'll take it. And you see Happy switching over to the Ashe. This is kind of what BQB came out on. And Happy was able to really put his imprint on the game on the Widowmaker. I like this the other way around now.
So you switch off the Widow for this last part of the map. And you say, oh, that's possibly one of the most disgusting things I've seen in a while. Oh yeah, casually just pulls the goggles down while Winston's hurtling towards him.
If your Widow's playing like that, you commit, right? I mean, you...
Yeah. You give him the super max and just point him in the right direction.
Yup. The damage boost, everything he needs, you go for. So he actually... okay, so they'll mirror the Ashe. Interesting. So sees the Ashe doesn't want to play the Widow anymore. Probably knows that they're not going to give him any free shots, so to speak. And once we kind of get into this area and they get aggressive, it's going to be difficult for him to stay alive.
It's way too easy for Dreamer to get the drop on him with the way the buildings are set up for defenders. Don't be too disappointed. We may see him switch back to that if he has the opportunity. But remember, we are short on time for both teams.
They almost get a DMAC on a Piggy.
That would have been devastating. That would have been a Dreamer. His life expectancy would be cut drastically short. So what's Yaki looking for here? Maybe just pressure on Dreamer. Okay, looking... Sees Dante, unpocketed by the way, but a nano boost already for Crimzo. He did such a good job of building this, and it means that Dante can now handle this Echo fight. On the ground, Sticky Bombs takes him pretty darn low. He would have died if not for that nano, there's no doubt about it. Gangnam Jim has built his own nano boost now, and that's going to be the next push. Who receives it? It's Yaki. He's going to go forward now, maybe even find a duplicate of his own, but he's more interested in trying to move the card. In his absence, the dive comes in from Dreamer, and BQB is plucked out of formation. That's a player advantage now to the Houston Outlaws, and they're going to make it even worse. OG goes down. Dreamer really starting to stretch his legs a little bit more, and the Mayhem come off second best in that fight. They get the later nano boost, but it doesn't look nearly as good in the hands of Yaki.
Oh, and you get a remake here for Gargoyle on the payload, as this is still contestable. As now it'll be Gargoyle taken out. So Florida gets the payload through the choke. They get it to about the statue. So you've given yourself definitely a chance here if you're the Florida Mayhem. No, a minute and 14 versus a minute. We're basically about the same time. I mean, the 14 seconds is a lot of just... players coming into the spawn. Anyway. Yeah, I mean, it's not a huge, meaningful amount of time. So we'll see what the Florida Mayhem pull out on D. I think the biggest question is do they think that Happy plays the Widow, or do they think the Ashe? Obviously, Happy has a huge advantage here with the spawn close, where if he sees the Widow, he can mirror it. If he sees the Ashe, he can decide to with
no way he
plays
the Widow.
Yeah,
he'll still risky, man. Like
Ashe. So yeah. The Widow, I guess, is pretty risky here, especially in OT.
Well, I mean, the first part of the map's just made for defending Winston's, because you just sit up there, you drop down, wait for the grapple, and then you follow. Like, it's over pretty quickly if, if they're not specifically trying to bait that kind of aggression. The Ashe, of course, the coach gun buys you those crucial seconds to get away, and also to tell your team to look at the really angry scientist that's trying to tear you down a peg. 1:14. That's the time of the Outlaws here. And yeah, maybe something even more defensive than the Ashe in the McCree.
Very defensive, right? This is really banking on trying to catch maybe OG or somebody else a little bit too aggressive. They've been able to with Yaki a few times, trying to go finish players off with the focusing beams, but still, you're not going to have anything really to challenge BQB at range here.
60 seconds remaining.
How do the Mayhem set BQB up for success here, though? Because Dreamer is going to sit out of line of sight as the car pushes up. Oh, wow. The Mayhem give a lot of ground here. They don't get much in that first fight at all. So they're throwing their eggs in an essentially ultless fight. Gangnam Jin, though, is way ahead in nano boost here, so that's where the Mayhem might try and end things quickly.
Yeah, so OG just keeps taking some poke damage, just enough for Gangnam Jin to keep charging his ult. But this is where the Ashe kind of excels over the McCree. Like, look at these sightlines and how far away they're playing. Nothing really that the McCree can do.
If BQB's not reloading there's a good chance Dante's in deep trouble. He just peeks out from behind that little tower. So the Outlaws have put themselves in a position where they need to win the fight, but Yaki goes down. That defensive, the slower McCree approach works. They get rid of Yaki, but can they do more? Focusing beam there. Yeah, nicely done. Dante cleans up BQB really well. Dreamer, yeah, he does go down, but OG got a nano boost and wasn't able to find enough value for it. The Outlaws, they make the safe play, the patient play. It looks so good for them. And now they'll clean off the Mayhem, and they'll take Dorado here. No real chance for a stall, and the Outlaws go ahead in the series.
And I mentioned when we saw the McCree that they've been able to catch Yaki out a few times on this Echo, getting a little bit too aggressive, and that's exactly how the map ends up ending. They get the first pick from the McCree onto the Echo. Looked like they were over here on the staircase side, and it maybe just went a little bit too close, tried to go in a little bit too deep, and taken out real fast. And you lose your Echo. Echo's such a large source of damage here. It's difficult to bounce back after that.
Yeah, Matt, after some matches this weekend that have frankly been about as spicy as milk, we finally get a close match as we expected, seeing these two top flight teams take each other on. Houston benefit from the more measured approach in that map, so let's see what map 4 has in store. Do we get the tiebreaker? Let's find out.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Hey.
Hello. We should do a high five, by the way, Vicky.
Knowing me, I'm gonna like.
Other hand, other hand.
He's so small compared to me.
Am I?
I could like palm his head like a basketball.
It's not to scale. Look how big Matt's head is compared to mine.
What do you mean?
Your head's way bigger than mine.
Nice.
Look at Jacked Jonak there. You see Jacked Jonak? He's pretty jacked now.
This looks good. Let's go with this.
I love that.
Something I noticed from watching the VOD back is that Bren is a lot brighter than I am. You look like you're in the sun, whereas I'm a pale corpse.
Johnny! Johnny! Mr. Reinforced Larson.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Stop making Johnny smaller.
하나, 둘, 셋, 넷.
What jumps at him because
You have very reflective skin.
Yeah, mate, I'm a vampire.
No, that was. I expected nothing, and I'm still disappointed.
Been quite the affair between the Outlaws and the Mayhem so far, and Houston continue to surprise us. By the way, it's about 3 a.m. in Kabul, Afghanistan right now, and you know what that means. 3 a.m. somewhere in the world. It's Jake here on the DPS.
Oh yeah, we have some swaps. So Jake in for Happy on DPS. Juby will come back here to play support. The next map, Temple of Anubis, potentially the return of the Jake Rat. I think this also just shows, like, you know, before the season, I think a lot of us were wondering, like, well, how much is Jake gonna play? What's his spot on this roster? He's kind of like a coach, kind of like a player. He definitely has a role on this team, right? It seems like he's been practicing his support a ton. They bring him in after map number 1. When they lose, they win the next 2, right? His Mercy looked pretty good. I think it's more for his Brigitte. And now they're going to put him on DPS here to try and close the series out.
I mean, what a map to do it on. This historically, not a great map for the Florida Mayhem anyway. Houston, Florida, to be fair, it's not... You know, it's not exactly been a map that they played the same meta on over and over again, but even last year it was kind of a weaker point for them. Temple of Anubis isn't great for either roster, in fairness. But yeah, you feel like you get a little bit of a teaser as to what we can expect Jake to be playing. Bearing in mind, he's known for many other DPS than just the Junkrat. It's just that he was particularly, I'm going to be diplomatic here, he was particularly impactful on the Junkrat on many different occasions. It was really, I mean, I remember the old Horizon Lunar Colony matches, Matt, with Jake on defense there. It was
He's up
nasty.
in the Raptors, like just launching them down, I mean, on the Junkrat. So the double shield look for the Outlaws, Juby in for the Mercy. So we still haven't really kind of figured out, like, you know, Juby in to play Mercy here. We saw Jake in, we saw him play a ton of Mercy. Maybe they kind of thought, like, well, if we want to play the break, he can go towards it. What do the Mayhem decide to run when they see this? Do they try and change anything up? The Junkrat, we haven't really seen Junkrat being played on Anubis in a while. There's also a way, like, with the Florida composition, like, so the Junkrat will get a ton of value with, like, the halts come through and OG tries to dive in, but here through the choke, like, spamming, not a ton.
Right, here's the dive. So let's see if there's some more value to be gained from the Junkrat now as the fight comes to the Outlaws. And that's a lot of poke damage, man. BQB gets caught there. Piggy's just throwing hyperspheres and bouncing him. That's not really anything out of the ordinary.
Well, I mean, Sigma is very difficult to, like, push chokes against, right? Like, he just has infinite ammo, just keeps spamming it. Orisa, sometimes it feels like she does. No, Echo does a ton of damage with just primary and sticky bombs, and Junkrat. I mean, this is a lot of damage. What happens when you get an amp matrix here, too?
I'm convinced this is fan service to some degree. Obviously, it's tough for Jake to really do much about Yaki. Obviously, that's not his job, really. Dealing with the tanks is more than enough. And the Mayhem are a little bit frazzled. You can see they're a little bit unsure about where they even start.
It's just
to try
weird.
and break down this setup.
Like, nobody else is playing. You know, double show Junkrat Echo on defense on Anubis. So this will be a nano boost onto OG, trying to take this top platform.
Great immortality field, perfect timing. Piggy's going to be back to health. Dreamer does get hit with a bite of grenade, and BQB goes down to Jake. He positions towards the back of the point, and the grenades roll in.
I was going to say, that had to be long range. Like, Jake was on the point, and BQB's out by the choke. I think he did have a mine up on the wall, like behind him. Maybe he just decided to blow it up and got the kill from it. Otherwise, just spamming over the top, coming up with the kills. I mean, that's what Junkrat's about, right? You just keep spamming and spamming and spamming.
Yeah, I think there's, look, when we mythologize these kind of concepts in the league, like Jake's Junkrat, for example, there's a risk of it becoming a bit of a meme, right? As in, like, a joke, as in, like, haha, not actually good. No, it was legitimately very, very good, and that's why it was such a famous idea. Jake is extremely good on the Junkrat and very good at punishing poor positioning. He has a Riptire on the way if he needs it, but he may not. OG's down, and Dante's brought back into the fight. Yaki has nowhere to go right now. No way to get really Gravitic Flux because he's sat on the low ground and there's a shield. So the Mayhem are throwing good ultimate after bad and getting very little for it.
And you think you can win a fight with a Tire, right? Tire just getting an early pick. And then you have Duplicate, Supercharger, and Matrix. You're in a really good spot here if you're the Outlaws.
The Nano, it has to be a Nano boost here to save things. Dante goes down to Yaki, so good start. That Riptire can definitely get at least a kill. What's Jake looking for here, though? They see me rolling, they hating.
I didn't see them.
Okay, gets it. Okay, there it is. Okay, wow, he gets two. That's huge. Look at the patience as well.
Why'd they shoot?
I think he saw them anyway. I don't know if that's going to be enough to save the fight either way. Dreamer coming to the point. Going to use a halt on Slime, no follow-up there. The upside is Crimzo and two tanks are here. So the staying power is definitely there in spades for the Outlaws. And Dante has a duplicate. This is looking very good for Houston, Matt. Yaki disintegrates.
Both players for the Florida Mayhem, I think it was like BQB and Gangnam Jin, were sitting around the corner, and Jake only turns the Tire, I think, when BQB jumps on top and fires a shot. Otherwise, he was just going. No, I mean, you go back and watch that. He was just rolling straight away. They were sat in that corner for a while. I mean,
Matt is adamant in believing that that was an error from the Florida Mayhem. Personally, I'm fine with that. I can get on board with that, Matthew. No worries. Nano boost here for Gangnam Jin that I don't think he got to use in the last fight, so it's going to have to be here. Yaki's going to fly around, but OG gets cut down already. Dante's able to find the tank first. It has to be resurrected. Self-destruct. Dreamer just throws the shield down. Sideshow's hairline keeps him alive once more. Slime's going to be removed by Crimzo. Dante with a free self-destruct, but Bob is in his way. Quite the bouncer, but Slime's gone down. OG's in trouble. Focusing beam, not much good against that immortality field, but still, Gargoyle is desuited. This isn't over yet for the Outlaws. They still need to finish this off properly, but getting rid of OG gets them on the way. Looking for Gangnam Jin, and that'll do it, the Outlaws. What a hold. Jake on the Junkrat. What a throwback. And what an effective play.
Jake with a smile in the chat. Some XDs is, all right, Florida to Forza Game 5. We got to get a full hold here on Anubis. It's Dante the guy. Oh, that's so funny.
I mean, wouldn't you be in all chat after a round like that, Matt? Okay, so first of all,
I'm in all chat regardless. Yeah, whether I don't have a good round or not, I'm there. That's the thing. That's the beauty of it. If you're gonna BM, look, everybody out there, if you're gonna trash talk a little bit, have some fun when you're up, you got to keep it going when you're down. Like you can't just ride the high, right? You gotta be that all the time. You know, if you're gonna be, you know, that kind of you know, fighting words every once in a while. Okay. Is this the tire potentially? They were so they're in this corner most of the time. Yeah, because I was looking at the map. I was like, where are these players? The tire's on the other side of the wall. They don't see him. Like Jake turns right over this wall and does not see it. And then he starts shooting at it right there. He starts shooting at it and he turns around. That's what I was saying. Yeah, they totally gave up their position there. I mean, maybe he thought he could finish the tire off before. But yeah, no, they were hiding there for so long. The tire rolled right by them. He did not see them until the fire came out.
One bit of trigger discipline, and it would have been a completely different story. VQB, his nerve breaks at the worst possible moment.
I mean, Jake almost hit him with the tire.
Yeah, he didn't see it, but we didn't see it. I didn't see it. So,
rush composition here for the Outlaws. This is just trying to force a fight on the point. If they can get around the point to where the health pack is and just kind of linger around there, you'll get tons of healing with the Moira. Looks like they're going to go in pretty far, though. They're actually going to force them towards their Mega. Interesting.
All right, Jake gets the date with the Battle Cow, maybe. He's lactose intolerant. Either way, OG's going to get taken down, so it's a trade. One less DPS right now for the Houston Outlaws. But, I mean, they're in a great spot here. This is what their composition wants to do. They've got the Moira up close, and yeah, they get rid of BQB. They're just going to keep running. Sticky bombs do connect for Yaki, and a good focusing beam here. Looks like when the fight gets down and dirty, the Mayhem are ready to tango. But that coalescence is not something you can just stand in. And it looks like Yaki found out the hard way.
Well, I was going to say, is there enough cleanup here to now get onto the point and take it? You're going to have Salon come back.
I can translate.
He'll be in position to get a touch.
Jake just repeating to himself, the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell. Just that common way to keep himself calm now on that Reaper. BKB down. All right, so Dante has fallen, but really you have a Reaper on the point. The Outlaws might have had a trade of players, but they have a huge advantage in terms of what their comp wants to do. And, well, see you later, Gargoyle. Wow. You are not allowed to participate in this fight or the rest of this series. And the Houston Outlaws, they bring the magic back. Sometimes it's more than just fan service or nostalgia. Sometimes it's just a good play.
I'm telling you, man, Jake was a huge impact player in this series, whether it was on the support, bringing him into play Mercy, or the Junkrat here at the end. It's quite funny. The play of the game is that Junkrat tire. As soon as it takes one lick of damage, he turns around and blows it up. So, crazy series today. Like, I don't think anyone expected this, to have the Florida Mayhem win map number 1, and then Jake come in and play 2 maps of support, a map of DPS, and the Outlaws just roll. It's just another look from Houston. One thing they did today that they didn't do the other day is they also left Dreamer in the entire series. Yesterday they tried to bring in Junggu for a map, and they tried to move around a bit. Jake came in, then out. This time they, outside of Jake and Juby, they solidified on what looks to be a roster.
Matt, you've been around a while. You're old. You're older than me, at least. How often have you seen it in esports where a player he retired, right? Retires, goes and becomes a caster, which is definitely where you go when you're washed, as you would know. And then he goes back to being a player and has this revival. Have you ever seen this from any other individuals through your career?
Not really, but I also think when Jake retired, he wasn't bad. I think that's the thing. Some players retire and, they're just kind of done. I think it was clear, Jake could still, play at that level. So I think it's a little bit different. When Jake retired, Jake was still a player who could, vie for a starting spot on a team or at least be in the rotation. And then now that, the one thing that everybody always spoke highly about of Jake is just, his, shot calling, his knowledge about the game. Now more willing to play things like support. You have a huge opportunity to play and be meaningful in that type of role. So I'm not surprised, really, in this scenario.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just a great example, though, of a player who has so much more to offer, goes and does his thing for a little bit and realizes maybe you know, now is an opportunity to not only be a leader, contribute to strategic discussions, which is, you know, I think the impression that we got about his being brought into the team, but also stands still shoulder to shoulder with some of the best DPS players in the world. Yeah, in somewhat of a niche here, but you can just see how much he's constantly talking, and there's constantly something being said there. The Outlaws were having a little bit of back and forth about how the communication was working on Dorado. We got a chance to listen in and sort of hear how they were managing that. You know, Jake gets thrown in there, of course, this veteran presence, someone who really understands the game strategically and helps him get across the line. I know it's ironic because he played Junkrat, we talk match strategy, but really it worked out beautifully. Our player of the match, though, Matt, presented by Xfinity today is, I mean, it's got to go to Dante. There's obviously the temptation to give it to Jake because recency bias is definitely a real thing, and he has a huge last map, but this Echo play is astonishing. And the storyline for us was that you can't ban Dante, like you can't, you know, no hero pool can claim enough of his, you know, his selection to sort of make him useless. And the guy is just incredible. One of the most versatile, flexible DPS players in the world.
Yeah, his Echo was extremely impactful today, especially at times where I know Happy wasn't getting the best out of like a Widowmaker battle or an Ashe long-range battle. It seemed like time after time Dante was able to, you know, open these fights or contribute in these fights. 2-3 pickoffs, then a duplicate, and being able to stall it out, keep it going for the Outlaws is. He's a huge player in NA in terms of, you know, the DPS, like one of the best in the league without question. Seeing him on the Echo and knowing that there's heroes that you can play at a high level like Tracer and Sombra not in the pool, this is a good sign for the Outlaws that you're able to see him play another hero. We know he's very good at Echo, but seeing this, though, a really good sign for the Outlaws.
And Dante actually, I think he went public and said in an interview that one of his personal pursuits after that sort of really weak first season for San Francisco when he was on that roster was to try and learn everything, just play everything, just become good at as many of those heroes, not just DPS heroes, as he possibly could. Echo is a hero made specifically for that kind of player, and you don't come out of this kind of matchup against Yaki and BQB without some bruises, right? The stats are not the cleanest. He doesn't have the least deaths ever because he's going up against world-class players there. We talked about how many players were in the top 10, right? Dante was the only DPS player not in the top 10 of Watson's power rankings. And there we have it. He comes out as player of the match. That was insane stuff. I cannot wait for an interview. Obviously, Jake had a little bit to say in match chat, and so we should. I can't wait to hear some more words from the victor himself in just a moment.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to the Watchpoint Post Show presented by IBM. We're joined now by Jake from Houston Outlaws. Jake 선수, 안녕하세요.
안녕하세요.
안녕하세요. 오늘 승리 축하드립니다.
감사해요.
Have you been learning Korean? Oh, I'm actually surprised that you actually understood all that.
Yeah. I've been learning for almost 2 years now. I started like last year when I was casting because I had a lot of free time, so I started taking lessons. And
okay.
I've been really enjoying it.
Next time I do another interview with you, we're gonna do a whole Korean interview just for you.
Oh, that's like my final exam. No, I'm scared.
Yep. Be on the lookout. We'll do that. All right. So my first question for you, Jake, is actually, you guys actually for yesterday's match, you guys suffered a tough loss, but you guys came back strong today against the Mayhem today. What changes did you guys make coming into today's match?
Just pick Orisa. No, but other than that, I think it was a mindset change. It was we needed to like be aggressive. We needed to be like putting our will on the match and being the initiators, and yeah, like making sure we're in control, because in the high pressure situation of the match, I think we were off that game even at the start of today, but I think we realized it really quick today and realized like that's the adjustment we have to make, is to control the tempo. And I think everyone on the team, not everyone's like necessarily comfortable with that style. That's not like our normal style, but I think in switching to that, everyone showed how adaptable they are today, that we could like change it up and be the more aggressive team.
Yeah, and I definitely feel like it worked, and that's how you guys got the win, right? So following up to that, we've also seen you play a lot of Brig this season, and not only that, we've actually seen you play some Mercy as well in the recent games. What is the subbing strat between you and Juby?
I mean, I don't think it's completely hero based entirely, but for the most part, like I can never play. I can't play Lucio at all, except in real desperate scenarios. But yeah, but I think both of us like are pretty flexible, so it can come down to something like specialty, or if we want to have like different swap options on a certain map, things like that can come into play.
Okay, wow, interesting. Thank you so much, Jake. That is actually it for the interview. Thank you so much, and again, big congratulations on your win today.
Thanks, man.
Thank you. 안녕.
안녕. 안녕히 계세요.
Love it. Thank you, Jake. Congrats to the Houston Outlaws. And thank you very much, Danny, for the post-game interview. I'm kind of upset. I kind of wanted to see that Jake Juicio?
The Juicio, yeah. It's being
Juicio.
called Juicio.
Maybe one day we get there. Who knows? Now, Costa, you were the one last-minute flipping. I'm kind of mad that it worked out. Not because I don't want the Outlaws to do well, like I'm super happy and thrilled for them, obviously, but those last-minute flip-flops, that was a little upsetting. So maybe tell us once again, like, why you made the flip, and also which of the things that you took into consideration actually transpired on the server.
Well, it's funny because Jake said, just play Orisa, and as much as he said he's joking, there's not that much joking going on there as well. Like, yesterday, they looked weak because they weren't playing the right things. They had Dreamer come in and play a lot of this Winston dive, Wrecking Ball dive, and it's just so hard to play that in this current meta with this iteration of hero pools. So them leaning more towards that Orisa, also allowing, sort of enabling Dante on this Echo a lot more. I just think they just played the right compositions, and that is what I believed in. I believed in the Houston Outlaws coaching and team to be able to look at that match and be like, okay, what do we need to adjust? And I think that's actually the weakness that the Florida Mayhem had. They still seem to be very heavily invested in this OG Winston, and you saw time and time again, every time he tries to go in, if he doesn't have that nano, if he doesn't have that primal, sometimes he just dies, and that gives this massive advantage to the Houston Outlaws. So I think that was the major difference that we saw today.
So I actually want to give credit as well to the Houston Outlaws for making that change, because that's always been the thing that sort of we're lacking for the Houston Outlaws historically, going back many years in the Overwatch League, where they couldn't make these adaptations, and in many ways, if they faced a loss against a team, going into the next one, if they had to play consecutive matches in a weekend, they just wouldn't make the adaptations, they would look off, they would try to force things, but it would just be a clown fiesta. But this time around, they actually made good changes, they actually made some progress, they thought it over, they made quick adaptations without overthinking it or sticking to their guns too much. So this is a big change for the Houston Outlaws as a franchise, and with great coaching staff, Junkbuck and Harsha for this team, and now Jake as well as an assistant coach. These player substitutions are a bit wild. We don't see a ton of that in the Overwatch League, but it worked out for them. You gotta give them credit. And I love the adaptations from the Houston Outlaws. So this is a franchise that are really distancing themselves from their former selves and their former iterations to now growing as a team, and now actually showing us that they are a team that is capable of adapting on the spot and can deliver really good performances against good teams in the league.
Yeah, and it's great to see their performance today.
Isn't it ridiculous that we go into 2021 and we're like, Dallas and Houston, look at those consistent guys, look at them, who would have thought? Like, they've actually come so far, both of these rosters, from what they were. Like, the cycle of misery existed for both of these organizations, but they're breaking the mold, both of them, I think, so far in 2021.
Yeah, I was just about to say, I'm so glad to see the Houston performing well today, because after their first match here in the June Joust, I was a tiny little bit worried, because I was so excited to finally see them doing well in the May Melee, like throughout the qualification matches. Like, I was genuinely impressed and very excited to see that team performing good. And then I was worried, June Joust, I'm like, oh no, like, it was just in the May Melee, like, are they gonna drop again? Like, this is good. Like, this makes me excited, and in general, I feel like we have a very stacked competition, and it still is everyone's game. I mean, if this week of matches has shown anything, literally, it is always everyone's game. Like, W's can come
Welcome
from
to
the most, yeah, exactly, from the most unexpected places. Now, our second match of the day was the Washington Justice facing off against the Boston Uprising, and Washington, unfortunately, continues to have problems making this meta work for them. Meanwhile, Boston, they were able to secure their second victory in the June Joust qualifier, and they're looking good.
They are. I mean, I am channeling maximum smug energy right now, because I was calling for the Boston Uprising to be the dark horse going into this year. I love the pickups from WGS, Phoenix. And I think that overall, this is a squad that is really, when they come together, I think they are a bit underrated. You look at this team, and the only one that really stands out to most people is Valentine, the flex DPS player. But you look at all of these different roles, both me and Kusta were high on Gaibiolsi, Myeongbong, of course. Faith as a main support, I think is really impressive, and I think he's actually going to grow reputation this year as a really solid main support player. So overall, I think that this is a really solid squad, and they are capable of taking advantage of teams like the Washington Justice, who seemed incapable of making those adjustments. Counteractive to the Houston Outlaws, who made quick adjustments the same weekend they were playing and thought, hey, this is not working for us. Washington Justice, I mean, they just doubled down on what was obviously not working against the Paris Eternal, and that's very disappointing, because I had the Washington Justice as my second best team going into the season. I think this is a stacked roster, but they just show no signs of adaptation whatsoever. Decay is missing, and we just don't know really what's going on with this team. So a bit disappointing from the Justice, but at the same time very impressed with the Boston Uprising.
I feel like that's the difference. Like, Houston, they lost yesterday, but they were able to, like you said, Johnny, like, they were able to adapt. But on the other hand, Washington Justice, I trusted them. I thought that they were going to adapt after yesterday's match, but
the chosen one.
Yeah, but I'm not the chosen one. No. Yeah. Anyways, yeah, they weren't able to adapt, so I think that's the difference. Like, great teams right now, they are able to adapt really fast. On the other hand, some teams that cannot adapt that fast suffers. And I suffer with it.
Yeah. Well, that's good. It's never nice to suffer alone, so you have that going, and that's great. Now, we saw in our first match of the day, Atlanta continuing their dominant performance. Kai and Pelican, like, on paper, that DPS duo coming into this season, that looked scary to everyone reading it. And I'm so happy to finally have it confirmed that they are, in fact, the fuel of nightmares if you're on the receiving end of it.
Yeah, and that's it. Like, we didn't really get to see it in the May Melee because of just the way that the meta shifted. Kai and Pelican weren't on their comfort heroes, they weren't able to really flex, but on top of that, Atlanta just didn't have a good read on the meta. Now you're seeing them fire on all cylinders, and that is why we are getting these ridiculously dominant performances from Atlanta Reign. And that's why some people, including myself, coming into the season were very high on Atlanta Reign. I think historically their biggest issues have been they just haven't had like that consistent talent at all times, but I think they have that and they're living up to those expectations. On the other hand, we have London Spitfire, a team that a lot of people were high on off the British Hurricanes in contenders. It feels like they're just not matching up well enough against teams in their rosters. I think there was a massive difference between Blase and Pelican today in this matchup. Hybrid's been struggling in the hit scan role at this highest level. And then Hattie and Molfig, I think today they just couldn't get any space, and that goes back to they weren't adopting this meta, they weren't playing the Orisa. So there's a lot of things to improve on if you are the London Spitfire. They did just have a head coach change. I want to see them progressively get better week after week and make those improvements. I don't think they're going to be a winner of any of these tournaments anytime soon, but I just want to see them improve like the Paris Eternal have their counterparts.
Yeah.
Speaking of winning and improving, predictions, Costa.
Ooh. Yeah,
for the first time in forever, actually, I think.
I think ever.
I actually think ever. At the very top of it. So these were our predictions. Costa came in clutch with a last-minute flipperoo to the Outlaws, and that, that paid off big times. Big times.
Oh, yeah.
So now here are the updated standings in our predictions. And I mean, we're still all very close to one another, so everything is possible in the world of Overwatch. But Costa, again, for the first time in forever, on the top. How does it feel?
Oh, just those words as they wash over me, hearing that I am at the top. I don't think I've ever been top of the predictions. I think I've always just sucked. And this season looked like it was going to be one of those, but I've clawed my way back. There's been some throws all across the board, but happy to be on top. We'll see how long it lasts, because I'm sure next weekend I'm gonna mess it up.
Speaking of messing up,
the last time, if we go back in history and we actually take a look at history, the last time Costa won, that was the stage 4 2018, and then they lost in the playoffs the very next match. So, I don't think it's gonna last very long if we look back in history and Costa's career.
You couldn't just let me have it. You couldn't give me like a minute.
Cutting deep
just a
too.
Minute.
That's not even a slap or something. Like that was a stabbing wound right there.
I like change. I like new stuff.
I'm here for
it's my first time in the bottom. It's okay. I'm telling myself that it's okay. Just too
yeah, no, don't be afraid of
Danny,
change,
you're so damn cute. I just want to hug you. I really want to hug you, Danny.
It's gonna be okay.
It's not possible. I'm sorry. Reinforce, it is now the time to tell you that we are in fact not in the same room.
Oh, yeah, look at that.
What?
Look at this thing. I just noticed it.
Oh. Wait,
Hello.
I didn't want to give him a crown. I didn't approve of this crown.
I'm going to. I suck at this. I don't know why they keep giving me a crown. Yeah.
He can't even wear
No.
it. He doesn't even know how to wear it. That's how unfamiliar he is.
Can I join in?
Sir, I can't hear you because I'm a king right now. The crown is covering my ears.
Attempts of stealing the crown, though. Like, you gotta give him that. Now, as we give Costa another minute with his crown, just, to feel himself a little bit, we take a very quick break, and then afterwards we are back with, once again, our critically acclaimed, actually Editor's Choice Watchpoint segment, Best of the Day. That's right, it's coming right up after a very quick break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League, and by IBM, the official cloud and AI partner of the Overwatch League.